the purpose of this video is to demonstrate to players that oftentimes you feel like you're doing something, you feel like you're not able to be a benefit to your team. You feel like whenever you go in, you just die immediately and you don't get a lot of XP and credits, and you haven't done much for the game. And we're going to kind of talk about how it's easy to fall into this, but you don't have to do much in order to be near the top of the leaderboard or to do well in a game. And it may not seem like you have done much, but in other ways, the way the game considers it, you have done quite a bit. And so primarily this is going to be discussing how the credits and XP are earned and how damage works out in World of Warships. So primarily, I think that the problem Mags and I see is that we see people sniping in the back, thinking they're going to get a lot of damage in, thinking they're going to get a lot of XP and a lot of credits. Oftentimes these people do absolutely nothing for their team. They just sit in the back. It's rather frustrating. I'm sure Mags, you've
yeah.
seen lots of that.
Not entertaining to go in and be fighting off 3 cruisers while you're sitting in the back watching, in Iowa and a couple other battleships just back there sniping and missing the dots.
Yeah, and some ships are really, really guilty of this. Some players are not, but people sometimes wonder how you get extra credits. And so there's one thing. First things first, a lot of people still believe the repair is your repair fee or your playing fee is still calculated by damage taken. So people are still kind of gun shy about getting in fighting. But that is no longer the case. Now everything has a flat fee. Depends on your tier, depends on your ship, but you have a flat fee. The second you press that play button, you've already paid the fee, and it's done. Whether you're 100% health or 0% health, you get the same fee.
As a battleship player, going in there and taking some damage is actually beneficial to your score on the scoreboard and the amount of credits you make. Because if you're in there taking some damage for your team, but you're riding the fine line of where you're not going to die, but you're still taking some damage and taking the fire away from, softer ships like cruisers and destroyers, you're actually rewarded for that by taking some damage.
Yeah, the potential damage actually does reward you. You do get rewarded for spotting damage. Do you get rewarded? I mean, you may not do a lot of damage in your game, and this is something that I see with destroyers. I'm a destroyer player. Mags is a battleship player. I'm a destroyer cruiser player. Mags plays his battleships very well. And my pet peeve always is with the destroyers, they'll sit dead still in smoke and then they just fire and fire and fire and fire, and then they get torped. And then, oh look, the ship has done very little in the game. They haven't really helped. When a lot of what a destroyer is moving around, spotting, putting up smoke, knowing when to fire, knowing when not to fire. Sometimes you need to fire. Sometimes you shouldn't be firing. Or you shouldn't be in your smoke continually. The smoke is for others, and I mean, you can sit in it, and it does give you a significant advantage, especially if you're alone. But if you're in a team setting, you do want to be spotting for your team, and it can be really frustrating for another player. What was the other exception?
The only exceptions I would give for the destroyers is if you're under fire and you need your smoke to save your life to help you get away, or if it's on epicenter is the one except, and you get in the middle and you cap, and then you can sit in the smoke in the middle, especially behind an island. That is usually really beneficial for your team, but it also requires you to
read the situation.
Spot. Yes.
Definitely have to read the situation.
Very situational, I'd say.
So how do we get credits and XP in this game? What is one of the main ways that you can get? So Max, even though you may beat me in damage often in games, you may do incredible amounts of damage. Why is it sometimes that in some games I'll do better than you in a smaller ship that doesn't have the damage potential of a battleship?
Well, it's very dependent on what kind of damage you do to certain ships. If I'm in a tier 10 and I'm shooting a tier 8 and say I just obliterate a North Carolina in one shot, and Cyanite goes after 2 destroyers in his Minotaur and kills both of them, both tier 8s, he is going to be rewarded much more heavily because destroyers have a very high influence on the battle. For me as a battleship, it's my job to take out that North Carolina, and it's expected that I should be able to overmatch him. But him taking out those destroyers is much more important because it's a highly valued ship. And they don't consist as much damage either.
Exactly.
It's
Eh,
more of a percentage of damage you take off a ship.
It's exactly a percentage of damage. It's whatever damage HP you do. So, say a Grosser Curvers has huge amounts of innate people. Say I do 20,000 damage to him. That is not equivalent in terms of credits and XP as 20,000 damage versus a Gearing or another tier 10 DD. That 20,000 damage that I apply to a DD is the equivalent. You can look at it as doing 90,000 or 100,000 damage to a battleship at higher tiers.
I also
Uh,
look at it as well as the ship you're playing and the amount of health they withstands. Say I have a Kurfürst. My Kurfürst has 105,000 health. In order to carry my weight in my eyes, it'd be doing somewhere in that range of damage to other battleships and cruisers. And there's an exception for destroyers, because destroyers obviously don't have as much damage to be done. And for a cruiser to do significant amounts of damage to a destroyer is much more rewarding.
Yes. You do get rewarded a lot more. So in this game that I'm going to be showcasing right here, it's the whole purpose of this gameplay is to just demonstrate how easily it is to make credits and damage by not doing much. I really didn't do much that game. It wasn't a high damage game for me. It was a rather low damage game for me. But I came in second on the scoreboard, and I beat out Mags, who got 3 kills. And I was second on the scoreboard doing 34,000 damage.
And you died in the very, very
I
beginning.
died in the beginning, but I made a fair amount of credits. It wasn't my first one of the day, and I got 4,700 experience. Now that is tier 10, so that is to be expected at that tier, of playing well. But I didn't do much. I did a lot of damage to destroyers. I did a lot of damage to 2 destroyers, and I got taken out. Now, I didn't play smart. Could have played much smarter. I kind of went in hand. We were just kind of messing around. But regardless, the point still stands is that if you want to get better, you got to know the mechanics behind how you can do a tiny amount of damage, but still get a lot of spotting in, get a lot of potential damage in, which is going to increase your credits and XP.